Hi, welcome to this episode of Vibe Gardening in Fermentation. We're going to talk a little bit about what happened with the Marigold last time. As it was my first video last time, I kind of want to amend a little bit with what I left out because Vibe Gardening in Fermentation is all about getting your information straight before you vibe your way through. So with that said, let's get going on it. So in this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about how we chose Marigold to begin with, and how we gather information and the research I did, and why I did it. So with Marigold, I kind of like with everything else in this channel that I do, I start out by having a conversation with ChatGPT about how to do things and how to do them well. So I got tomato and pepper as the starting point of the garden in my in-ground garden. And so it absolutely let me know that I need to plant some marigold. Now, it didn't specify what kind of marigold, and also the other thing too is that since there's a lot of massive amount of basically buzz and hype around marigold in the recent years and on the internet, so ChatGPT being an internet-driven tool, obviously would be looking at that information and running with it. So what we did was we really kind of, I basically just didn't do any double checking of ChatGPT like I probably shouldn't be. And I decided that I was going to just plant marigold. What I didn't realize was there's two main variants of marigold. One was the African variety, which is what you see here in my garden. And then there's a French variant, which is obviously more common and small, petite type. And what I didn't realize was that it made a huge difference in what was going on. And that also was combined with me not reading the label. So what kind of triggered me in discovering that maybe I made a mistake with my choice was, and also ChatGPT was basically riding the internet hype train, was from a video linked below by Gardening in Canada. And that's from Ashley, who has Bachelor of Science in Soil Science, which is someone who I likely should be considering as a subject matter expert. And so she kind of broke down some of the hype around marigold, including the fact that it's really good in controlling what's called nematodes, which are microscopic, a lot of times microscopic worms in the dirt that would feed on things like root and soil and other things. More about nematodes in a minute. But the thing that I did not realize is that when it comes to rabbits, deer, and any other larger above ground critters, it may actually not do a thing. As she mentioned in her video, she actually feeds marigold leaves to her bunnies and they would love it. And as I'll point out later with my evidence is that the bunny actually did ravage my in-ground garden. And back there you don't see it now, but I put up a fence in response to the bunny pressure I was getting. So so then I basically took notes of other things to talk about. Her video has a lot more on what marigold is actually good at and not good at. I'm not going to tell everything here. I'll let you watch her video. But in reality here is that I really thought about also the like actually does it actually work in nematode, and is it really all kind of marigold? Because I did some research and finding from University of Florida, which I trust a lot because with a land grant state university like that came in the wave of the 1890s and the 1850s with their land grant university. One of their main goals was to make academic research in horticulture and other economy and society building technology like this, make it accessible to the local residents. And so that's why I read the University of Florida publication, which is also mirrored by Ohio State. And a lot of those state universities you will find all have similar publications about how marigold is amazing at actually, tackling the nematode problem. So I did this chase down one of the publications, which really talked about how marigold, which they didn't say what kind, is really good at tackling 6 very harmful kind of nematodes. Now keep in mind, these are the harmful ones. There are also beneficial nematodes, which in the colder season, I'll get into more. about how to actually use nematode to tackle some of the indoor problems like fungal gnats, which is another topic there. But these are harmful we're talking about. So Marigold is extremely good at killing and disrupting the whole life cycle of these harmful nematodes. So then also I dug up another research paper cited by the University of Florida white paper, is that with the different variants of marigolds, they actually specifically checked out the African marigold, which is the Tagetes erecta. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. And they found that it is essentially worthless against nematodes. So where does that put me? Well, I am actually not sorry I planted all these marigolds, because let's be honest, it is pretty. It's very pretty, and especially these African types, they get big. We're talking about 2 to 3 feet tall. My most healthy one back there hit about 10 inches already, and it's only been about a month, and we're kind of like at the end of May. So these things can get really big, and it's going to come up with flowers that are basically like mini suns. They're 4 inches in diameter. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous. It's going to be fragrant. It's going to be able to attract more pollinators. It's going to help pollinate my fruiting veggies and give me more better harvest. And so I'm not sorry I did that. And at the same time, it's going to make my garden look freaking fabulous. So that's why I am not sorry we're doing it. But yeah, so that's why I did it, and I'm not sorry I made that mistake of not reading the package. So this right here is a lovely example of my Exhibit A of a marigold that's being partially eaten by the bunnies. As you can see here, there's a cilantro right by it. The cilantro is basically untouched. And the part of it is that this marigold was taking all the pressure off the cilantro, and the bunny was essentially just nibbling on the marigold instead of cilantro, because as the rest of the garden shows that out of the 6 cilantro I have, this is the only one that's not being touched by the bunnies. And I had to put up my fence, as you can see here in the background. I had to put it up in response to the bunny, and thankfully was able to save all my cilantros. But one of my marigolds, unfortunately, had all its leaves eaten and is now dead. So as you can see here, when you go deeper, you see the nibble right here on this little nub here. That's where it got cut off clean and eaten for a little snack. In contrast, this is actually my marigold that was not molested by the bunnies at all. As you can see, it's got all its leaves. There's no signs of snipping off, and it's symmetrical, 2 on each side, and comes in all 4 directions, coming straight up. This thing is already 10 inches tall, and I do expect this to be one of my best producing marigolds come along the season. And you might wonder, why do I know that it's going to be bunnies and not deer? This right here is my cilantro. As you can see, this guy right here is very tall. It's already about 30 inches tall or more. And you see how it's all fluffy and healthy on the top. But if you go further down, you'll notice down here that there's been clear signs of nibbling. Like right here. This is a clear being nibbled a week ago or 2 when I put up this fence. It's been more nibbling here. This whole entire area here, majority of the leaf has been nibbled off. And now if this was going to be a deer, it's going to be able to nibble everything off and actually kill this cilantro plant. But since it's a bunny, well, there you have it. We just ate at the bottom of it. And the other thing too is, at one point during a storm, I caught a perpetrator, a little white-tailed bunny, pretty large, probably the size of about three times the size of a chihuahua, just run off at the crime scene where the clearly dead marigold was. And I believe I caught it eating the final little snippets of that marigold before it was finally put out its misery. So let's talk a little bit about how I started my seeds, because when I did it, it was close to 100% germination rate, which is fantastic. I planted about 18 of them from the botanic interest seeds I started with, and I was able to get all 18 of them to come up from seed, which is an incredible rate. So I believe one of my success is how I made the soil, which I'm going to go into a little bit here. But that is a whole science that really deserves its own episode later. So this time all we did was we used about 50% Miracle-Gro organic choice potting soil with compost. This is the base of the nutrition here, and it's basically what a lot of people use for starting seeds. But the reality is that the germination rate is not as high as I was getting, because I was getting 100%, which was incredible, which really kind of goes into highlighting the skill and the professionalism of a reputable seeding company. So what I did was I was able to add another 30% of these Jeffy seed starting mix. This had to basically hunt down, because getting a purely zero nutrition um, starting mix is very hard to find nowadays, and I was able to find this in Walmart. The reason why this is extremely important is that it has no nutrition, because a lot of the seeds will actually get burned and will die in the middle of germination if there's too much nutrition in the soil. That's why I'm essentially diluting the nutrition with these no nutrition soil to really give it structure really helps. It's mostly cocoa coir and the other structure that would essentially keep it well drained, but yet reduce the nutrition load a little bit. And finally, for the final 20%, I used Perlite here. So Perlite can get it basically anywhere, and I was able to get it at my local Menard. And the way that these Perlite work is that they're essentially uh, basically glass, volcanic glass, essentially, that they're able to get. It basically provides, again, no nutrition. It is helping with drainage and reduce compaction, give it structure, which makes the soil really good for starting seeds and have it basically not drown in the water, which is extremely important. So that's how I basically made my soil mix here. So I got 50% potting mix, 30% seed starting without any nutrition, and then 20% perlite. And now to finally finish it off, again, I'm going to have to highly recommend these seed starting tray I talked about last time, which I highlighted. So we have these clear plastic trays, which are extremely important, because as we learned from M.I. Gardner in one of his videos that I'm going to link below, is that when it comes to seedlings and starting plants, when it comes time to transplant, the above ground visual is a lie. You really need to depend on the root structure and how well the root's growing. And with his video, he actually suggests that you sacrifice one of your seedlings and pull it out and see how it's growing. But thankfully, with these clear plastic trays, you don't have to sacrifice anything. All you need to do is pull it out, and you'll be able to see how the root's growing. Another benefit of this is that it has a little popper silicone on the bottom, which basically lets you pop out that root plug with the soil without having to really do too much of the work. And that is extremely useful. So this is my favorite. It even comes with a watering tray, which lets you bottom water, which is extremely crucial for you to try to promote downward growth of that root to give it that structure it needs when it comes to transplanting. And then a humidity dome that lets you control the humidity with even a vent hole that you can essentially open and close. And this is extremely fantastic for starting seeds. And I'll put a link below, like I said, and hope this helps you. For the last part of the video, I want to do a little bit of update on the plants that we planted last time. So now this marigold is one of actually the best one in the batch. As you can see, it's growing quite well. And let's take a little bit of direct comparison to the ones that's still in the seed growing tray, because, well, I haven't given it the Sunday to my friend Sheba at church. So as you can see here, this is the ones in the pot and the tray still. As a direct comparison, you might not see it too much, but we're seeing about, so this is actually one of the better ones here. This one's still only about half the size of this one, which what that really tells us is that these were so ready to get out of those tiny little cramped seed starting tray, and this 5-gallon bucket is exactly what it needed to get that start on life. Well, into the next stage of life, and this 5-gallon bucket should be the luxury suite it needs to grow to full size of 2 to 3 feet tall. So this, unfortunately, is more of a crime scene. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what happened here. As you can see here, this is a dead one. It's quite interesting because when I came, this is only about 24 hours after I planted this in this 3-gallon bucket. I was able to find that it was chopped right below the entry point of where the leaves grew. And I noticed it was a clear chop and there is no nibbling involved. And I found these leaves. All the leaves that got chopped off, none of them were eaten. It was a clean cut. It's not a snack, not for food. It got chopped off. And I worked with the ChatGPT a little bit to kind of go over the scenarios. And honestly, like the only thing you can come up with is potentially this was a mechanical operation that really gave it trauma and not really any snacking, because I couldn't find any damage on any of my other marigolds. So that's really a mystery that I'm dealing with. So, I mean, in light of that, I mean, it's been about a whole week now, almost a whole week. And I still have not seen any other marigolds being damaged, because even though it's only about a foot off the ground, it's already enough to deter the bunnies from jumping in and doing further damage. So that's why, as of just yesterday or 2 days ago, I planted another one in here, figuring, it's a one-time freak accident by maybe a bird or something flying here and plucking at it for texture or whatever case that created this damage here. That's about the best I can guess. So if you got any suggestions of what you think happened here, please comment below and let me know what you think happened. And I guess that's it for this episode, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Vibe Gardening Inform Edition.